kazoo, honking to you, the all-seeing oracle eyeball. Kids, get ready for a scary ride. You thought your world was a scary ride so far, 16 billion years of the scary ride. Well, it started with a bang, it's ending with a bang. Al Bob, your sensei Griot, will be telling you a story this afternoon, sometime between noon and 1, and then again sometime between 8 and 9, and he will tell you in the next 40 shows about the end of the scary ride. Hold on to your pubic hair. We're going to love watching you scream and suffer. All of you people who are ruled by fear. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm here. There's the Grand Kazoo. He's talking to you. So, I just spent about, half an hour looking at the internet. All the war, all the this, all the that, all the crashing of the economy, oh my God, the sky is falling. I'm old enough to experience things worse than this. Oil embargo, 9/11, our going to war in Afghanistan, Iraq, our 20 years worth of never-ending wars where we killed millions of people and ran up a debt of over $10 trillion. That's what's on the books. It probably was more like 100 trillion. But, that's one reason why we are having the issues we're having. And the United States, our death rate is going up, meaning people aren't before, let's say before 9/11, let's say, the average, how long people lived was around 75. Now it's down to about 68. And it's dropping precipitously. And back then they started studying it, and I was part of a Brookings study group, and it was out of UNCG, and basically it was pretty easy to chart. The data was easy to put into perspective. We just compared it to other industrial Western countries, and it was pretty obvious. All the countries that people are living longer, they had single payer healthcare. People didn't have to worry about their healthcare; it was taken care of, right? And basically, the United States spends more on healthcare per capita than all of the EU put together. And they all have single payer, and good old Mitch, Moscow Mitch says, we better like Sweden. Well, I lived in Sweden. It's not a bad place, right? So, the sun is going down. It rained all day, and right now it's clearing out, and it's along the tree line. It's all gold, and it's pretty. And Colonel Sanders and his father, Grandpa Cockroach, the sonny boy of it, he never rode his motorbike, for months. And now that Grandpa's here, they're like, oh, you got to go and practice. And so they've turned this whole little beautiful place into you can hear them, right? So they're just zipping around, and they're ripping the shit out of everything. And their little two-stroke. I'm sitting on my friend's front driveway, and if he had people staying here right now and they'd want to sit on the deck, that's what they'd be hearing. And they'd be smelling it too. The two-stroke gasoline smell is wafting up here. So
And when I was just driving down the driveway, you're getting in my way. It's got to be fun. It's got to be real fun when the really rich people who think they're rich come here and start going after Colonel Sanders and Grandpa Cockroach. And they had about 2 years. When May rolls around, they'll be here 2 years. I didn't think they'd make it this long, so it should be interesting. Um, so um, and God is calling me. I had a real miracle. They were drunker than on another planet. And I went out there to talk to them last night in the dark. And so I was dancing and I could dance really good. So they tried to dance like me and they fell in the mud. It was like unbelievable. And so, and one guy vomited on himself. Grandpa Cockroach vomited on himself. And so I saw them today and I said, "So, guys, you're pretty drunk last night, weren't you?" "Yeah, oh yeah." So why do you do that? How'd you feel in the morning? And Grandpa Cockroach, "Oh man, oh, I smelled like vomit and shit." I said, "Why?" And the wife got upset because he crapped himself in their couch and vomited on himself in the couch. So, and that was their new, fold away bedtime couch. I mean, this is all metaphor to what's going on around us, right? The war in Ukraine is like shitting yourself and vomiting on yourself, and there is no winner in that war. At the end of it, both sides will have gone, right? And the Ukrainian people, because the war is on their land, they are definitely having the biggest problem. But as this is very similar, I mean, we are coming to the 100-year festival of World War One and the Russian Revolution, and I have a sense that this war ain't ending like tomorrow or next year or the next year. Meaning, really, the only way is if the NATO and the West gave Ukraine some serious weapons. I mean, they gave the HIMARS, right, but ATACMS and small diameter bombs and aircraft and smart weapons. If we gave them those, yeah, we could. If we gave the Ukrainians like 30 A-10s, we could take the ones in mothball out there in Nevada and give it to them, and that would be it. They would just go after their land. The Russians have no defense for that, and so that would be that, right? But we haven't, because we want this war to go on as long as it can, because it'll make Lockheed Martin, General Dynamic, Boeing, GE, all of those people a lot of money. So, it's going to last a number of years. Thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people will die, innocent people. And on both sides, Russian and Ukrainian, and we'll leave Ukraine just a burning hole, right? And Russia, will be thrown into a revolution, and they'll end up as a burning hole. And already there is, homegrown unrest in Russia, and folk are, doing, internal harm to Russia. Ukraine isn't, the Russian people, and not a lot of them, but it'll grow and grow and grow. And when there's hundreds of thousands of people in the street, that's when it's going to be blood in the Kremlin. So it's and it's going to not end up very nice for Putin. One of two. He's basically going to be picked out of there and brought to Buzios, and they will, change him into a different entity. Put him into a transhuman shell, and that'll be that. And that's what happens to all our folks. We put them in a transhuman shell, and they're not around. To either compromise the hidden hand or get in trouble themselves. So anyway, that's kind of what you're seeing, and it's pretty obvious, and it's a scored. Mr. Global only's doing this, right? Everyone's reading the script, because the war in Ukraine makes no sense militarily, economically, geopolitically. None of the above. Don't make any sense. And but we're moving towards this fascist federation, right? When good old Ronnie Reagan made his little speech to the UN. Well, wouldn't it be nice? Just think how all our little problems here on Earth would just go away if we were being attacked by aliens. Well, that's the next thing that comes, right? Mark my word, right? And next, I've been talking about the big splat now 2 years, right? I've been talking about the rejigger for the last 4 years. As of May, give or take, I will be having this show for 4 years, you know, and that's kind of fun to see that go down, right? And I've been telling you stories like this morning earlier. I told you half of the story of the Buzio Brazil escapade, and I'll tell you more of that. But I'm going to switch just whoop, like tack like a sailing ship. Do you guys? Is anybody there like sailing? I'm a bit of a sailor. When I was a young man, I was a sailor, and I spent a number of summers up in Maine on a. What these kids are going to be doing when all the rich people show up, and I don't think it's not going to be nice. Not going to be pretty. And I'll just, it's and that's what Schadenfreude is. When you see stuff like that, and you don't have to get involved per se. Um, like the, what you call it. The Colonel Sanders, he's done all kinds of just. Most people would get upset with the stuff that he's done, and me not so much, right? Because every time he screws, seemingly is like irritating to me. No, it's like when your parent would say, I have to beat you up now. It's going to hurt me more than it is you." Well, this is one of those situations when it's true, because it's not, and see, I can look at it disparagingly. No, not disparagingly. Distance, right? And say, now, yes, I have to be honest that I'm a human being, and when they do stuff that just like, ugh, that's all I can do is, ugh. But then I have to go, okay. I have to forgive. First, forgive myself for going, ugh, then forgive them for being stupid, because they really don't know what they're doing. Because they're so self-medicated, it's mind friggin' boggling, right? And people who are like on opiates or any of those kind of drugs, the worst drug there is tobacco. That is the most addictive. Second, caffeine. Third is alcohol. They all attach to the same little thing here, but so do the opioids. But those three guys really get their hooks in you, right? And some people can, I drink 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day, and it's okay. It doesn't keep me awake. I could, I don't drink coffee before I go to bed, but I could. I've done it before. Not a big deal. But I have one in the morning. I have one, then an hour or two later. See, I don't eat right away. An hour or two later, I have breakfast, right? And I'll have a cup of coffee then, and then I'll have another meal around 4 or 5 o'clock. I usually go to bed around 11 or 12, and I don't eat anything before then. So that is the interesting dynamic of being somewhat aware. So I'm consciously aware I am, and consciously intent I am 60% of the time. Most people, maybe 5% of the time, or not even. But see, and they're not really aware, and they're not really have intent. They more have anxiety. They view anxiety as an awareness. And in the Bible, God goes on about, you can be concerned about things, but you shouldn't worry. Because if you worry, that means you don't believe in God's, watching out for you, right? And when you have faith, not belief, faith, when you have inside, you feel it, right? So you can't use it as a, magic 8 ball. If you wanted to use that magic 8 ball, go get yourself a magic 8 ball and see it as a entertainment, not a, connected tissue to the Almighty. No, that connective tissue has to be in your heart. You have to feel that love so you can radiate that love. When Moses was talking to Burning Bush said, "Hey, Moses, go bring the Hebrew nation out of Egypt." And Moses, "Why should I? I'm doing very nice here. Got a nice wife, got some kids. My father-in-law is kind of interesting to talk to. I love coming up here with the sheep, looking at the stars. I'm doing fine. I've been here about 20-something years. I don't need to get, I did it, done it, don't need to do it no more." Right? And that's basically what I did. I kind of came here for the last 20 years. And now, since COVID and all the cockroaches, and they've really done a superb job of destroying this place. They've just eaten this whole place up. And when I speak to the issue to the folk like Colonel Sanders, and I say, they're well, that's fine. That's there'll be a mall here soon, and that'll be more convenient for me. But all the trees are dying. This place is so sensitive that just the people haven't shown up. And the roads are like sliding off the side of the mountains, and still the traffic isn't here yet. They have, that the mobsters have bought about 4,000 acres and sliced them up to about 800, um, lots, and they have 4,000 lots together, and they've sold 800, right, at $100,000 a piece. And they got another 4,000 to go, and they're laundering their money, their dirty money, and then selling it to moron people who give them clean money. But that money won't mean anything because we are soon to be going. Janie Pooh, hi, yes, Bob, country. What is that, Jane? Is that a turd there with a smile, or is that some grape ice cream? But anyway, so it's just going to be unfrigging believable. It's like Boone. When I lived in Boone in 1967 one summer, right? And it was beautiful. The school there had 800. The school now has 30,000. The population there was about 14,000. Now it's almost 200,000. They coming from every car, 4 different directions. 8-lane highways are going into 2 lanes of downtown. It's used to be. Well, I used to live downtown Boone, and when this little cabin that was like on the hill, and I turned it into like a coffee house, and other people who were hikers, sleep there, right? And especially if they had instruments, because I wanted to have old-timey music. And this is way before people really got into old-timey music. And there are some old-timers who lived there. They would come up every night, or at least 4 nights a week, and play. And the kids who were on the Appalachian Trail, the AT, it was amazingly fun, right? And the overpowering scent that summer I was there was honeysuckle. Now, the over oppressive scent that's there now is diesel and asphalt, because an asphalt plant on one end of that valley. So that's what's going to happen to this beautiful place. And the lake is going to turn into one gigantic, bloom, because everyone's now dumping, because there are no codes here, so everyone's dumping their feces into the lake. So I had 20 years of it being beautiful and nice, and living in a garden of paradise. And I'll be here for whatever. I'll probably be here all summer, and this will probably be the last enjoyable, really fun summer. And then I will move on to where God wants me to go, and I will do whatever God wants me to do. And this is a perfect time at my age. I'm living like a millionaire on $400, right? This guy can't even pay me the 200 he owes, right? He's constantly going through tons of money. I mean, he probably spends $400 on alcohol a week, right? So it's and again, this is all a microcosm of what's going on in the world. And it isn't like, oh my God, this is something different. No, this is what humans have been doing. If you read the Bible, man, I just got myself my a friend of mine gave me a copy, like large type, um, for my Bible, and you read the old, people. "Oh, I don't read the Old Testament. I only like the new one because I can skip it all and just go to the end and see that I'm going to heaven because I'm born again and I'm going to heaven." That's not quite how it works. Because heaven and hell, when Adam and Eve booked from the garden was just like a crib, right? And God needed um, Adam and Eve to leave because once they left the garden, they were aware. They ate of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, and God needed Adam and Eve and Adam and Eve's children to go through life experiencing that so God could have a perspective of it. Right? We are we are the work in progress. God isn't a finished thing. God is not a he, it, or once. That's why the LBG. What pronoun do you use? God is a work in progress. I don't know what pronoun that is. So, um, let's see. Uh, James Boo. Chat that sucks up. So, I basically it's an interesting time. The sky is still bright. Let's see what time is it. How much time do I have left before I have to get out of here? Oh, another 20 minutes, give or take. Maybe 10. But anyway, that's as you haven't noticed yet, I do a stream of conscious most of the time these days because I don't come with when I had a place that I could sit and think and meditate and take a few notes, I could have a pretty succinctful message. But this, I just let God rip on the, I know God's got my whatever, has got my back, right? So I'm not worrying about that. I'm here to serve love's co-creation, right? So I'm not worrying about it all. I'm being consciously aware of my affection towards God's love, and I am consciously aware of my looking 3 blocks down, seeing what's coming my way, so I can be empathetically forgiving of everyone because they have no idea what they're doing. But it allows me to stay out of the way, and I have faith that God has always got my back. Like last night, I almost lost all my fingers, but God just kind of moved my hand like about 2 inches, and when the door slammed, was like, oh man, because the moron who kicked the door closed, it was dark. He didn't even see me there and didn't realize my hand was right there. And he was so drunk, even if he did see it, he probably couldn't put it together. So, but something just moved my hand about 3 inches and the door, boom, right? And I was like, oh man, I could have, right? And then when I went back in, because it wasn't any more fun watching these drunk guys fall down in the mud. And so I just went back in. I said, well, I just after realizing that, man, that would have been life changing, losing all my fingers, and it would have snapped them off like little sausages. And that's life. Shit can happen like that, right? But I have faith in God's love and why I'm here. I've died 7 times, so there's definitely somebody's reason for me to stay here. And I got that 11% to do, and I do my best every day when I go out. I interact with people and try to touch them in the best of ways, right? And so today, I went out and did some errands. I went to the library to look some stuff up. I talked to my friend who's a librarian there. And then I went to a rare bookstore and talked to that guy. And in all of those, I talked to about 11 people who, weren't looking for me, didn't, but the librarian guy kept, hey, come over here. Let this guy look at your palm. And I did. And they were like, oh, every single one. And most of them kind of knew each other. So when I would read one person, their buddies who were with them would go, yep, that's him, So, and it changed the energy of all. I was with these 2 guys who were serious worker alcohol and drug and alcoholics, but they've been doing their gig for so long they can do it no matter how screwed up they are. So we talked for a good half hour about everything in their life, and they came to a realization that, oh gosh, I always loved God, but I never had a relationship with him. I said, that's between you and God. I'm just giving you the two tools to use: conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am. Boom. That intent is to have that connection with God. Conscious awareness I am, conscious awareness I am, conscious awareness I am. And that's the awareness of your connection. So you have faith in it, with God's love and Jesus' forgiveness, and not in any religious way. Not in the the Bible is a great book. It's a great vehicle to. It's like a tool. It's like you buy a car. It's like a tool. You get your car and they have the workers owner's manual. It's like that. So that's what you need to do, right? So it's up to you to deal with that, right? No one else can do it for you. You have to do it. You sense Al Bob, I can be here to give you advice, tell you stories, give you insight. And if you want to get a hold of me at the dudewake42 at Gmail, I'm here for you. Okay? So that's the bottom line. You stay well, be good. I'm going to go. Okay? Okay.